Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday. Today I'm going to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. We are going to be using a die set that is called Textured Notes Dies. It's got a number of rectangles and they have these great little designs going around. We're going to be using those. Before we jump into actually making the card, I wanted to mention that last night I did a workshop for a big group of ladies from a local Hispanic church in my area. And because of that, we had some English sentiments for building their card. And I also wanted to show them that we have a set of Spanish sentiment stamps. So I don't know if you recognize that Stampin' Up! Offers this. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention. And the ladies were able to choose whichever sentiment they wanted to put on their card and add that. And I was unaware that we had a Spanish language set until I specifically went looking for it. So I wanted to mention that. All right, so for today's card, I'm starting with a card base made out of Mossy Meadow cardstock, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I have scored it at 4.25 inches and folded it. Now the next layer, this piece of paper, this is our two-tone cardstock. Now I don't know if you've tried this product yet or not. I knew I wanted a layer of old olive on the front of the card, and I decided this was a great opportunity to try the two-tone cardstock because I bought this packet called Wildflower Celebrations two-tone cardstock. It has several colors that coordinate with that particular DSP, but this is the old olive color in that pack, and the two-toned has a dark and a light side. So you can see here, this is the darker of the old olive and this is the lighter of the old olive. So the weight of this two-tone cardstock is slightly lighter than our regular cardstock. So it's perfect for a layer, and that's what I've done today. So I used the largest die on a piece of 4.25 by 5.5 inches of that paper, that two-tone cardstock, and cut out my large rectangle. All right. Then I took some of the designer series paper. Now, as I mentioned, I had that workshop last night and I cut up so much of this paper for that workshop. And so I only had scraps left. So the good news is all I needed was a scrap. So this piece started out like that, and I used this die to cut out that piece. All right, that's all I needed. Then I took a piece of white scrap and a smaller die from the same set and cut that out. All right, so those are my die cut pieces using that set of dies and also that paper. I thought that was fun to see the two-tone cardstock in action. All right, I'm going to do just a little bit of stamping and then we have a teeny bit of die cutting to still do. But let's build our card because it is fast and easy, even though there were several of those steps just for prep. All right, so this is going to go onto my card base. And I'm just using my multi-purpose glue, which is the common glue that I reach for most of the time. All right, so I'm laying this down on my card base, looking at my borders all the way around, and we'll leave that in place. All right, next I'm going to put on that piece of designer series paper that was die cut. So let's go ahead and get that into place. I'm putting it over to the left side. And centered between the top and the bottom by eyeballing. All right, so now we have that. This piece I'm going to go ahead and stamp on, and we're going to put our sentiment. I picked a sentiment from the Painterly Pears stamp set, and I'm using Mossy Meadow ink to do this. And I think this is going to go here. I'm going to stamp it over towards the left because I'm going to add some pears to this. And I think that's going to end up kind of covering the right side of this little white tag. All right, that came out nicely. Now let's get our pears ready. So I just have a scrap of white cardstock here, and I'm going to stamp the pears. I'll do that in black. When I first started playing with this set, I wasn't sure what color the pears should be stamped with, because this is like two-step stamping. I can get the outline of my pears here, and then I'm going to take this stamp and stamp the inside of the pears. 2 steps to create our beautiful image. And I wasn't sure what the right color was going to be to do that. And I tested a few, because it could be kind of a light green, kind of a yellowish color, right? Okay, I was so excited to realize that our in color Darling Duckling is the perfect color for the pears. So we're going to get some of that, and this stamp is designed the way that the actual stamp itself is designed, has some great texture to it already. And so you can see that when I stamp this in here, it ends up being quite realistic of those pears. Beautiful shading. Oh my goodness, so exciting. Okay, let's color the leaves in with just a little bit of color. I'm going to grab my Mossy Meadow Light blend, my Stampin' Blend, and just lay down a little bit of color. And then, I mean, you could get fancier with your coloring if you want to, but we're going for fast and easy. And then I'll use Pecan Pie Light for that little bit of stem that's there, okay? That's fast and easy. I'm going to take the coordinating die and run that through my machine like this, just to cut that image out. All right, so let me do that, and I will be back in a flash. One thing I'll give you a little heads up on, and I know this because I stamped and die cut over 40 of these for that workshop that I did. And so one thing that was interesting is when you first start out, you kind of need to play with the placement of this die. I found that if you rush and just throw it on there and die cut it, you end up getting too much white on one side or the other. This one came out nicely. There's a kind of a even amount of white around the edges. So just don't rush into that when you cut your very first set of pears out. All right, so let's put this together. This is probably going to go right here. I think we'll add this. Oh, see, let's pull this up a little bit. This is going to go here. We're going to pop this up with dimensionals, and then we'll add some gems to finish this off. All right, let's put this flat, and we'll just pop the pears up. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe this piece would be popped up. And it did need to be a little bit higher than I expected. All right, like so. I mean, we could have played with the positioning, but I kind of had it eyeballed right here. Let's put a few dimensionals on here. I've got some minis here. Let's see if I have some regular size. Yeah. Because I think 2, maybe 3 is all that's needed. I think we're fine with 2 on this size die cut. All right, and I'm torn. I haven't looked to decide for sure. I'm either going to put some ribbon on here or some embellishments. I don't know if I'll do both, but look, we'll add our little pears there. Very cute. And let's take a look at this ribbon. This one is a brand new one. Probably used up everything last night. Okay, I'm I'm just off camera here while I dig at it with my scissors to get that plastic off. And try not to cut my ribbon at the same time. There's got to be an easier way to do this. All right, so I'm getting that little plastic ring cut off. There we go. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is called Mossy Meadow and Gold, and you can see that it has a little gold speck to it. All right, so I'm gonna do something that we all can do, and that is to just tie a knot. So I took a small piece of ribbon. This is just under 4 inches. I'm simply going to tie a knot. Look at the back, looks even more gold, so you can decide which side you want to show. And I'm going to attach this with a glue dot. Easy, easy. So I'm going to press my knot right into the glue dot here on the backing sheet. Peel that off. That is now sticky on the back. And I think before I stick it, I'm going to go ahead and angle and trim these ends. Like so. And then we'll stick this on. How do I want it? Straight? Nope, I think it's still going to kind of angle down towards the pear. That's the focal point. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to press that into place. As I mentioned, there are some beautiful embellishments that coordinate with this, and you could do that, but in the sake of time for a fast and easy card, we're going to leave this as is. The one thing I would do is grab a white layer to put on the inside. You could even stamp the pears on the inside if you wanted to, just to finish it off, and I think it's a lovely card, fast and easy, and it really showcases those pears. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy stamping!